Bitcoin is probably the safest thing that someone can invest in because the technology has been proven rock solid over the last 15 years since the Genesis block. There's a lot of speculative tokens that may go up 100x, maybe zeros at the end of the day. I keep majority of my crypto wealth in Bitcoin, and obviously we do a lot of shitcoining. We shitcoin to earn more Bitcoin.
Who are you?
Who am I? Arthur Hayes.
The CIO of Maelstrom. He's also the co-founder of BitMEX.
Earlier in his career, he traded at Deutsche Bank and Citibank
Before stepping into the world of crypto.
What's your view on Bitcoin specifically today in late 2025?
We're early. Best performing asset in human history. I still think they're relative to any other asset you can invest in to sort of preserve your wealth. It's still going to outperform.
Your US dollar stablecoin Maxi, how much do you like the dollar itself?
Versus crypto, it's complete trash. Within this ecosystem of, hey, I am a person in Argentina and I want to use a fiat currency. I'd rather not be the peso. I want $1. It's really hard to get dollars.
Do you own anything else than crypto in size?
I think crypto is money of the people, but if you talk about central banks and governments around the world saying we own too many treasuries, we have too much dollar, we need something real. Real to them is gold.
When do you think that's coming back? The good deals?
I think the market peaks in 2028 timeframe, and I think we get generational collapse in all assets 2029, 2030. So I think that'll be time when there's blood in the streets, so you start buying.
What assets do you feel comfortable buying and holding for the next 5 to 10 years?
Nothing. Things change.
You say Bitcoin is going to $1 million. If it does, why would it stop there? Hi everyone. This is the little bit that I know none of you like that can help us make a huge difference for this show, and we want to take it next. 71% of the people who regularly watch When Shift Happens have not subscribed. And so all I'd ask you, if you want to make a huge difference, is the following. If you've seen this show before and you like it, help me, help my team, hit the subscribe button, and we'll continue to build this show for you. Thank you.
But I make my own. I have a whole setup, so I don't drink outside coffee.
So you do your own thing at home all the time. You say, I'm done. Okay.
Yeah.
Next level.
Yeah.
Thank God I didn't order coffee for you. I was like, I remember he likes good coffee.
No, I guess I had one.
He would be like,
yeah.
No. How are you doing?
Good. Just played tennis this morning. It's ready to talk for 8 hours, do the whole, I think I have another one after you. This is an interesting setup. This like podcasting studio.
The next one is here too?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Same place.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Who's going to be with?
I don't remember. I have to look at my schedule.
You remember to come? I'm very happy. I was not sure. You never know.
Yeah.
Especially during these weeks, like, you don't know what they did last night. You don't know when they did. What is your mission?
Mission?
In life?
Enjoy skiing.
That's a good one.
Play tennis. That's it.
Enjoying sport a lot.
Yeah, so I work out like 3 hours a day. So I guess
every day.
Yeah.
Workout, sport.
Yeah, tennis.
3 hours.
Yeah. Wow. Lifting, running. Skiing, I ski 6 hours a day when I'm in the season. So that starts in mid-December.
Been doing this all your life?
No,
like
I mean,
this sport.
I always work out a lot. I was bodybuilding back in the day, and then I always lifted a lot back when I was working a real job. But now I have more time. So yoga, run, whatever, stretch, swim, run.
You
tennis.
You don't have a real job anymore.
Yeah. I don't have to be
anywhere. Is enjoying life.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Who am I? Arthur Hayes.
Who is Arthur Hayes for people who don't know you?
CIO of Maelstrom and former CEO of BitMEX and inventor of perpetual swap, if you are trading those, which I'm sure most people are.
How do you view the evolution of money and retirement for the next couple of years?
The evolution of money?
Yeah.
I think there'll be a lot more fiat created in every major government around the world. And that's going to give people an opportunity in the crypto space to have some outside gains because we have a small door, a lot of things coming through it. And the price appreciation in certain crypto assets, I think, will outpace government bonds, equities, other things you can invest in.
Can you tell me more about these crypto assets that you think will outperform?
Obviously, I'm not a Bitcoin maxi. I love my shitcoins. But I think Bitcoin is probably in the crypto space, the safest thing that someone can invest in because the technology has been proven rock solid over the last 15 years, since 14 years, whatever, since the Genesis block. Some of the other, Ethereum and some of the other L1s have been around for a while, but there's a lot of speculative tokens that, may go up 100x, maybe zeros at the end of the day. Who knows? So I keep majority of my crypto wealth in Bitcoin, and obviously myself and Maelstrom, we do a lot of shitcoining, but we shitcoin to earn more Bitcoin.
Shitcoin as investment or mostly kind of trading opportunities?
Both. So we have a early stage fund, and we invest in term sheets, and 2 or 3 years, you might get your money back or you get a zero. But when we take profit, then we take that whatever USDC, USDT, Ethena, take that and we convert it to Bitcoin.
When you do an investment decision, what's the benchmark that you try to outperform?
Bitcoin.
Always Bitcoin.
Always Bitcoin.
So you don't have this view of kind of like more macro view saying, now there's this hurdle rate conversation, right? Saying, hey, look, there is a inflation, whatever, 3-4%, then asset price inflation, whatever, 8%, hurdle rate, 11, 12, 15%. This is not what you're trying to outperform.
I take it as a given that Bitcoin will outperform every other fiat asset. So if you take that as a given, then the question is, if I'm going to pay somebody a salary in crypto to invest in this ecosystem, can they outperform Bitcoin? Otherwise, I should just buy Bitcoin and hold it and not employ people.
What's your framework for that? Because outperforming Bitcoin is so hard already.
Yes, it is.
It's so hard. Like most people probably don't realize. They think, Bitcoin is, they don't realize that Bitcoin is the S&P 500, but if you invest in stocks, just outperforming S&P 500 is extremely hard, right?
Correct.
In crypto, it's almost even harder to outperform Bitcoin than it is to outperform S&P 500 in the stock market. But it doesn't feel, maybe because there is, all these tokens going up and down a lot. There is so much volatility. We don't feel like it's hard to outperform Bitcoin, but actually most people would be better off just buying and holding Bitcoin. So what's your framework when you arrive? You say, these are the different factors I see that actually make this likely to outperform Bitcoin.
We tend to target investments that are, could 10 to 100x in the next 2 to 3 years from whatever we get in at the pre-seed stage versus where they list in the TGE versus where we actually get out of the position. Our goal is, 10 to 100x on a position. Obviously, we take a lot of zeros. Actually, not too many. The team has done a very good job of minimizing those sorts of returns. But over a very short period of time, 10, 20x return on some shitcoin will outperform Bitcoin. Whether or not that particular shitcoin lasts for 15 years, we'll see. I don't know. But we're really targeting, let's invest and let's be able to cash out within 2 to 3 years of any investment that we make on our early stage portfolio, which is why we prefer crypto tokens versus equity in crypto companies, because that takes 7 to 10 years, assuming the IPO, and there's so many if thens and how to get your money back in that respect.
You say you have a whole team. How much do you input in the decision of saying, okay, we're going to invest there or not? Because you said before, I go to ski a lot. Maybe you think about all these things, but this also requires a lot of probably work analysis and thinking.
So I am not in the weeds. I do not decide what investments the team makes. I just sign the checks. Obviously, I have veto power. I very rarely ever use that. I trust Akshat Vaidya and his team to properly, take inbounds, vet projects, propose investments, and obviously they don't get paid unless they make money. So they're incentivized to make money in the portfolio. And I more am a risk up or down. So I might say, hey, I want you guys to take more risk because I think the macro is favorable, or I want you to dial back the risk, or here's a particular vertical which I think the narrative is strong. We should invest in 1 or 2 projects in this particular bucket. That's really my role as the CIO.
What's the macro framework that you operate in now in terms of risk?
Liquidity. So I study the fiat liquidity. What's the pace at which governments will print money, and then what is the expectation of the pace? And so obviously those 2 things play on the multiple that someone's going to pay for an asset like Bitcoin or gold, because they have an expectation of a particular rate of debasement of currency. How does my view differ or coincide with what the market views?
What about now, towards end of 2025? What do you tell your team? Hey guys, you talk about that openly, obviously, but like for people who, again, don't listen every day to what you're saying or read every day what you're writing, what do you tell your team now, near 2025, in terms of this macro framework and the risk level they can take for these investments?
So we're pretty much fully invested, especially on the liquid side of things. We are very price conscious. So price is what you pay, value is what you get. We have very strict limits on what we'll pay for a project. right now, obviously we're in a bull market. Founders are feeling good. There's lots of money in VC, private, family offices chasing, the good projects. We are not very active investing in projects right now. We think they're too expensive, and we don't see risk reward that's commensurate with what we saw back in late 2022, early 2023, where, essentially we've made our portfolio in projects like Ethena and ETHFI, which have done very, very well because it was during the depths of the bear market. And so we were able to get very, very good deals. So right now, we're long the market. We're long Bitcoin, long, some other large cap projects. But I'd say the team is not doing that many early stage deals. We're focusing more on DAT advisory things, analyzing different liquid protocols. Okay, do we want to take a position for a few months on some large cap coin? We'll do analysis on that. But I would say, the amount of deals that we've done in sort of the seed, pre-seed stage have, pretty much dwindled down to zero because it's just too expensive.
Yeah. When do you think that's coming back? The good deals?
I think the market peaks in sort of 2027, 2028 timeframe. And I think we get sort of a generational collapse in all assets in the 2029, 2030 timeframe. So I think that'll be time when, there's blood in the streets. So you start buying.
Quick one. I want to thank our partners who help us make this show possible. I'd like to thank our friends at Jupiter, the most used decentralized trading platform on Solana and the largest DAO in the world. Thank you to our friends at Paradex. It's official Perps Dex season, and we've teamed up with Paradex, the leading perpetuals decentralized exchange with zero fees, deep liquidity, and privacy. Their season 2 runs through the end of January, so you do not want to miss that one. In addition, their flagship NFT collection drops in Q4 this year, and we're giving you a chance to get one. Supply is limited, so hurry up and use the link below to get on the waiting list. And last but not least, thank you to the awesome team at CustCard, my go-to card to spend my stablecoins directly with my Apple Pay to buy anything, food, coffee, hotel night, or plane tickets without having to use a bank ever again. You said when we do these investments, we focus on getting good prices, but you have a lot of leverage to get those prices. Most people don't. What do you recommend today? You said we're fully invested, right, in terms of liquid. What do you recommend today to someone who is not new to crypto, but says, hey, I want to be fully invested, but not only in Bitcoin? What's something that they can invest in that you think will outperform Bitcoin without having to have this kind of access or leverage over the different people?
So obviously there's lots of, top 100 market cap coins that have real business models. Obviously, one that we're very bullish on, and we are an advisor. I have a large position. Athena, the stablecoin narrative, fastest growing US dollar stablecoin in the history of crypto. They're number 3. I think they have about 16 or 17 billion circulating supply of the USDE. I think that the governance token is going to do very well as they start to buy back their token now that they've been listed on Binance. They have a certain number circulation supply, and the yield is within their target range. So I think that's a great investment. We're long that. We believe in that. I believe in the sort of the stablecoin macro narrative that the United States government is going to try to, beat back this de-dollarization push by trying to force certain pockets of the world to accept dollar stablecoins instead of bank deposits and other things, so that they can buy their treasuries. So I think that's a big meta narrative, and Circle, Ethena, Tether, some other projects, they're going to do very, very well. And I think that what's the stablecoin market cap now, like 250 billion or whatever it is. I think there's massive growth in that, and this is probably one of the highest conviction bets that we have, and it's our largest position in our portfolio by far.
What are other smart plays to play the stablecoin narrative? Which is not that easy because most of these companies, the biggest one is private. Another one just IPO'd, right? Circle, but it's pretty high valuation. If you want to be exposed in tokens, what's something that you think could be interesting, or you think is not out there yet? Except Ethena.
One thing that we're backing is called Codex. And so I'm not a believer that there's much to be done as an issuer, because Tether, Circle, Ethena kind of have the market wrapped up. They have the distribution, they have the partnerships with the exchanges, they have the partnerships with the big tech companies. I think these will be integrated in Meta and X and, different sort of big tech US Western companies. I think that there's a lot of opportunity for technology that's going to allow a small business to accept stablecoins and at the same time be able to pay their taxes and do any sort of mandated fiat payments. What's that piece of technology that lets them seamlessly interact between TradFi and stablecoins? Codex is building that functional layer. There's other projects as well that are competing in that space, but that's something that we are advising and betting on as our sort of next play in the stablecoin ecosystem. But I would not be investing in another issuer.
If you think about stablecoins and for the moment, stablecoins is purely crypto, right? But there is the US pushing really hard for stablecoins, and obviously, if you use stablecoins, it's so obvious that it's going to be everywhere, right? How much do you think these crypto stablecoins will take over TradFi versus some TradFi alternatives could actually become really big or maybe bigger?
I think it depends on the market. I think there will be TradFi alternatives within a particular market, but I'm a sort of US dollar stablecoin maxi. I don't think anyone wants anything other than that because, in most places around the world, the domestic banking system, while flawed as it is quite fast and efficient to send your local fiat currency around. The issue is that everyone wants a dollar who is not American in the fiat ecosystem because lowest inflation rate of all the other fiat currencies. You can buy lots of things around the world. You get, a positive yield. And you can buy sort of other US assets, which have obviously historically outperformed a lot of other countries. So if you're not a very, very wealthy person in a lot of, the global South, you don't have access to dollar banking or dollar assets or dollar yields. And this is what the stablecoin gives you. You don't want a Korean won or a Singapore dollar or a Hong Kong dollar stablecoin because you have a local banking system. You already have that. You don't need that service. So I'm a US dollar stablecoin maxi in terms of I would never invest in any other issuer that's trying to attack one of these local markets because I don't see the value I don't see the 10x value improvement you're giving to a customer.
Your US dollar stablecoin maxi, you're backing these issuers. But how much do you like the dollar itself?
No, versus crypto, it's complete trash. But, within this ecosystem of, hey, I am a person in Argentina and I want to use a fiat currency. I'd rather not be the peso. I want a dollar. It's really hard to get dollars. I'd like to own a treasury bond or something like that.
How do you think in terms of dollars? You say it's trash versus crypto, but you still need some dollars in a portfolio. How do you think about that? Because in crypto, I feel, and I'm the same, I guess most people are the same. If you really understand crypto, if you understand Bitcoin and fiat currency devaluation, every time you have a dollar, you want to throw it into Bitcoin, right? But it becomes like there's a fine line between a smart way to think about that and actually kind of being also almost an addiction, almost like a gambling addiction. Shit, I need more Bitcoin. Because when you understand that, you understand you never have enough Bitcoin, right? But you need the dollars somewhere. How do you think about that? Or you just say, do you have a percentage where you say, for the business, for example, or for yourself, I need this amount in dollar, no matter what, I have this amount in in terms of percentage? Or like, how do you think about that?
My framework is if you go to bed at night and you need to check your phone because you're worried about the price of Bitcoin, then you own too much. So whatever that amount is, I think it's a very personal decision. Some people would be okay with completely being Bitcoin. Some people would be okay with only 1% Bitcoin. That's a personal decision. But if it's keeping you up at night, then your exposure is too large.
What's your view on Bitcoin specifically today in late 2025?
In terms of like what aspect?
In terms of where you think we are at in the grand scheme of things?
I mean, I think we're early. It's not that it's penetrated a lot. It's the price has gone up of best performing asset in human history. We still have a ways to go because again, more money will be printed. It's just the way that things are. So I still think there are, relative to any other asset you can invest in to sort of preserve your wealth, it's still going to outperform.
So you still think it's early? You agree with people who say that it's early? How do you explain that to someone who says the classic thing when they come and say, "Oh, Bitcoin is so expensive; it's $110,000." You say, "No, it's still early." Explain simply. How do you explain that to someone who doesn't really agree with?
Well, so what's your alternative? What other asset do you think is going to outperform from today onwards? Irrelevant what happened in the past because you didn't invest. So don't even get concerned about what that was because you didn't do it. So who cares? From today onwards, you can invest in bonds, you can invest in gold, you can invest in Bitcoin, you can invest in certain stocks. Okay, you have your ecosystem of things that all are supposedly going to beat inflation. Which one does the best from now until the future? And so that's why I say Bitcoin is early, because right now I still believe that the price appreciation of Bitcoin will outperform other assets that are trying to do the same thing, because we all believe that fiat money will be printed.
When you say from now until the future, what's your thinking process? A lot of people I know, for example, Raoul Pal talks about 5 years, right? Most people actually, they say, in 5 years' time, thing will change. Some people I talk to on this podcast say, with AI, what Bitcoin is now, which is this kind of like lowest risk way of outperforming kind of everything. They say it might change in 5 years because of AI. We might have another money. How do you think about that?
I just think it's until such time when the perception about the pace of money printing changes. So I think that the investing public will start to believe or project that maybe the US and other countries won't print as much money as they did in the past, and therefore all assets that are based on liquidity, which is everything, are going to decline in the price of fiat. So that could be Bitcoin, gold, stocks, whatever. So I think that's going to come sometime in the 2027, 2028 zip code in terms of time. And so I'm thinking, okay, well, for the next 2 to 3 years, what do I think is being the best performing asset? If I believe that dollars, euros, yen will be printed and ad infinitum from this period for these 2 years, 3 years, what's going to do the best?
What makes you think that dollars going to get printed ad infinitum for the next 2 to 3 years?
I listen to what the politicians say, and they say we want to do all these things, whether it's reindustrialize or they want an expanded welfare state or they want to fight wars and bomb people, whatever it is, it all requires money. And it's not like, we want to do these things, but we want to increase taxes. That's not the message that politicians around the world are saying. It's, we have this magical ability to just do whatever we want, and it's going to be okay. Don't worry about it. You're not going to have to make any sacrifices, population. And that just means they're going to print money.
What do you think could be a turning point for that money printing kind of madness?
I think that at least in the United States, which is obviously the biggest offender in this realm, it'll be the election in 2028. And the Team Blue Democrats will say, hey, we're going to do something different. Whether or not they actually do it is irrelevant. The rhetoric will change, and then investing class will, well, what's the percentage chance they win? It's probably a 50-50 coin toss. And so, maybe I should take down that expectation that, if Trump printed 10 trillion over the next 3 years, whoever succeeds him in the Republican Party, maybe they're not going to be able to do it. Maybe the Democrats are actually going to, not print money. I don't think they are, but it doesn't matter. It's what people believe about the future, whether or not it actually happens. And so I think that change in mentality will be what sets off sort of the, oh shit, maybe all these assets are overpriced. And, we have some sort of a massive bear market.
You say Bitcoin is going to $1 million. If it does, why would it stop there?
I don't know. It could keep going. I guess like round numbers that are base 10, because I'm human.
So now because we're 100K, next round number 1 mil.
Yeah.
Next one number 10 mil.
Why not?
Why not? Like people always think this is. Well, I remember when it was like 2-3K, right? I would think, 10K is next, and then at some point, like, okay, 100K is next, based on money printing.
Yeah.
Most people saying this is nonsense, this is crazy. Now it's 100K. Okay, 1 million is next, probably. There's no reason why it's not going there, and then there's no reason why it doesn't continue. I mentioned before we had Raoul Pal a few times on this podcast, and he's all in crypto.
Right.
Do you own anything else than crypto in size?
Gold and gold miners. So I think crypto is sort of the money of the people, but if you talk about central banks and governments, their real money is gold. And we've seen starting in 2008 a secular shift in terms of central banks around the world saying, okay, we own too many treasuries, we have too much dollar, we need something real. Real to them is gold. And gold has obviously been on a tear since then. And the gold miners are very undervalued given the spot price in gold. And if, I think this year, I looked at my Bloomberg this morning, they're up 130%. Gold's up like 40, 50%, whatever it is.
How do you size that? And if you said before, I think Bitcoin outperformed everything, why would you even own gold?
Because over a certain time period, it's a different trade, right? Of course, I can believe whatever I want, but I'm a diversifier. I'm a hedge fund manager, right? So I obviously have different, assets that'll perform on the same theme, but a different cohort's going to buy them. So could we see a revaluation of gold 4 or 5x higher because there's some geopolitical concern between US, China, Russia, Iran, all these countries? Of course. And maybe over a very short period of time, it outperforms Bitcoin. Or there's a lot of institutional money managers who, can't get their head around Bitcoin, but they believe the same things that I do, money printing, geopolitical uncertainty. So they buy gold instead. And, over a particular period of time, gold could outperform Bitcoin. So it's the same trade. It's a different type of person, a different type of mentality who is buying it.
How do you size that?
Well, thankfully, because I started BitMEX, my cost basis for a lot of the things that I own is very, very low because I created a business. But in terms of sizing, I have a portion of money that's just in like TradFi, banks, and fiat stuff. And if you look in that portion, it's basically just T-bills and gold miners. And so, I have a crypto portion and it's done very well. So I have this sort of a barbell sort of situation. And that's kind of how I size it.
You never have one moment where you say, I need to rebalance or I have too much crypto, I'll put it in TradFi, or actually TradFi is less relevant, I'll put more into Bitcoin.
I just let it run. And so when the time comes when I believe that the money printing is going to slow versus the market expectations, then I sell everything.
Dollars.
And then I got to figure out what I'm going to buy. I don't know what that is, but I'll figure it out when I get there.
I just want to know a bit more about the gold miners, because in 2020, I think, so I built a business in the UK, and we had this SIPP, which is this self-investment pension plan, where you can invest tax-free some money. And in 2020, there was the March crash, right?
Yep.
And after the March crash, I was like, wow, this is a massive opportunity to buy Bitcoin, right? But with my SIPP, I couldn't buy Bitcoin. It was impossible. So I just thought, do I buy gold? Because it's kind of like similar to Bitcoin, but it's the only thing I can buy. I mean, a gold ETF, right? Or do I buy a gold miner ETF? And then my rationale was, I'll buy the gold miners, because it's basically gold, but more volatile. I think over the next few years, gold is going to go up. Bitcoin is going to go up a lot. Gold is going to go up less. But I want to do something closer to Bitcoin, but I can't. So I'm just going to buy gold miners because it's more volatile. Fast forward a few years later, actually it was probably a few months ago, I checked and I was like, fuck, man, this gold miner ETF hasn't even outperformed gold. How does the dynamic of gold, because for me, if I look at a chart of gold miners, I see this and then goes up like crazy, goes down back to almost zero every time there's a sort of bull market. So it's not the same as...
No, it's a levered play on gold.
It's a levered play, but if gold goes up slowly but surely, the gold miners, it's not really that. It's like more, if there's a bull market, they go up, then they go back down to like almost same price as before.
I mean, I think it's a commodity cycle, right? So if you believe in sort of we're in the beginnings of a commodity super cycle, and producers of commodities, gold miners are, commodity producing companies, then over time they'll outperform the actual performance of the underlying. Again, depends on where you got in, right? Price is what you pay, value is what you get. So it's all about market timing and whatnot.
Where do you think Bitcoin stops? Do you think there's ever one day where the whole Bitcoin thing is not relevant anymore?
I don't know. I mean, I'll be dead by that point. I have no idea. I haven't really thought about it.
Quick one. I want to thank our partners who help us make this show possible. Thank you, Trezor, my favorite cold wallet to store my crypto and make sure I sleep well at night. If you want to order a Trezor wallet and sleep well at night too, you can use my promo code WSH10 to get a 10% discount. Big thank you to Bitwise Asset Management for backing today's conversation. Bitwise is a crypto specialist asset manager with more than $15 billion in client assets across 30 plus crypto solutions, including ETFs, index funds, alpha strategies, staking, and more. However you like to invest in crypto, Bitwise has something for you. Thank you to our friends at Sui for supporting this show. Sui is a scalable layer 1 blockchain that's fast, secure, and affordable, built by previous Facebook developers, and that delivers the benefits of Web3 with the ease of Web2. To support this show, please check the sponsor links in the description down below. You started to mention before, you mentioned ETHFI, Ethena. The antithesis of Bitcoin is a protocol that generates revenue and profit and hopefully buy back their token. It's kind of a big narrative now. Are revenue and buyback a true fundamental factor that crypto investors should base their investing thesis on? Or is it more sort of meme that helps some protocol capture mindshare but doesn't always end up in token outperformance?
Well, I think at the end of the day, everyone's investing because they believe there's going to be some real activity on a particular chain. And real activity is going to do some sort of cash flow generation outside of Bitcoin, which is like, I'm going to outperform, fiat. It's not, you're not investing in Bitcoin to make money from a cash flow perspective. But all these other decentralized applications, they're disintermediating some business that charges people money and gives some of that money back to their equity holders or bond holders or whatever, right? And so from a token standpoint in this decentralized application ecosystem, we all are eventually believing that there will be some cash flow generation. But over successful cycles, we found that most projects have not done that. Number one, they probably don't have any clients. That's vast majority. No clients, no product market fit, no cash flow. Then there is the ones that are successful, but then for whatever reason, don't give any of that value back to the token holders. And I think investors have gotten tired of these two scenarios. And after, ICOs really came into creation in 2015, 2014, whatever, around the time that Ethereum went live. We had the first ICO craze, which is just, put up a website. Hey, I got a token, buy it, right? And then we got to 2020, 2021, DeFi summer. Hey, we got these economic games that we're going to play. We're going to get a bunch of users, but we're going to incentivize them with this token that basically goes to zero over time. No one's paying for anything, and anything other than our own token. We did that, boom, crash. We got to 2023, 2024, which was, hey, we have all these crypto VCs. They invest in these projects. They play this game where they have a high FDV, a low float, so they can pump the price, and then hopefully dump on people when it lists on a centralized exchange. Retail got wise to that. They could stop trading these things. Said, no, this is dog shit. I get the airdrop. I just dump it. There's no long-term value here. And now we have a subset of projects that have done extremely well over the last 2 years. The true alt season. Which are ones that, have clients that pay real money, and that money comes back to me or you as the token holder. And these have been the best performing projects in this cycle in terms of a new issue. Obviously, HyperLiquid is the best example of that. So I think it's an evolution of expectations of investors who we have sort of come up the curve and what we've expected as this new issue market has matured over time.
You mentioned HyperLiquid. And you also said before, I'm the inventor of the perpetual contracts. What makes HyperLiquid so different from all the other projects that are attempting or have attempted to dominate the DEX and perps game?
So I think it's the right time, right place, and right tokenomics model. I think obviously there's lots of people, for whatever reason, have been kicked off their favorite centralized exchange, or the product that they want to trade are not offered, and the leverage they want to trade for whatever reason. And here's this decentralized exchange that's built very performantly, and they can trade how they want to trade just by connecting their wallet and trading. And then most importantly is that the hype team said, okay, we're going to give all this revenue back to the token holders. We'll give a massive airdrop. And now the whole community is incentivized to trade on this one platform because they're getting the value back, versus a protocol like DYDX, which was very innovative at its time, a dominating DEX protocol. Price went bananas, massive FTV. If I would have got me with 20 or 30 billion FTV at its height back in 21 or 22, whenever it was. But they refused to pay any money to the token holders. Doesn't matter why. It just didn't happen. And so you saw that price go from, whatever value it is to basically nothing. And it's getting completely, their asses kicked by HyperLiquid and other perp dexes that are saying, okay, well, the customer wants to own a part of this, and they expect that as an owner, they should receive a part of the value that we're creating by offering the service to the community. So that's what they've done very, very well.
How much space do you think there is for others in this market? Because obviously, you see the success, and then people start to copy as usual. But in crypto, it's very short term. There's all these incentives, and then liquidity moves around. But holding something for a long time is a bit like a nightclub. A nightclub usually is 1, 2, 3 years, right? And then boom, gone. And then the next one and the next one. And you kind of have to either sell or renovate the whole thing and kind of have to re-hype the thing for it to work. So capturing people's attention, holding it in the long term, getting them to keep the token, all that stuff is so hard. How much do you think there is space for others to actually be very successful in the long term in this specific sector?
I think most of the perp dexes will be zeros, and there'll be a few that will survive based on the liquidity moat that they're able to generate. And so hopefully Hype is one of those. They are facing I call it the chatification moment, where someone says, oh, that's a great model. How about I take your fees down to zero and see if you can survive? Because I have more capital than you. And I don't need to make money. For whatever reason, I have another business that does well. And so I'm doing this to make sure my clients stay in my ecosystem. So I'll zero you, see if you can survive Hype, because your value is, hey, I buy back the token based on revenue. Well, if you have no revenue, then why should anyone own your token? So we're going to see what happens. I don't know. Are there other levers that they can pull in terms of to generate value for the token holder by offering some differentiated service that clients are willing to pay for? If there's another solution that is almost as good or maybe as good, that's free.
Absolutely. There's a trend. These guys from Paradex, for example, they just say zero fees.
Yeah.
Right. And probably, do you
think everyone will, Aster or whatever?
Everyone will just get there and say zero fees.
Maybe. We'll see. I mean, obviously there's a cost to running these things, right? There's server costs and whatever. And so, but again, is there something else in your business model, whatever it is, where you're going to make the money to, keep your thing going?
What could that thing be?
I have no idea.
You don't know? Having run yourself a perps exchange, you don't know, like what are other kind of ways to make money with, I don't know, because I'm actually wondering, I'm just like, how do these people do?
Well, maybe I think the great thing about this permissionless environment is there's going to be new business models created where, okay, well, somebody made a lot of money in the very simple, buy, sell trading thing. Okay, well, that got zero to zero fees. Cool. The customer's happy, but okay, well, we need to offer this service profitably. What else can we do? I don't know. There's going to be some very interesting entrepreneurs who are going to come up with something interesting. So we'll see what they do.
Yeah. It's a bit the same as in the stablecoins space, right? You have these stable coins that they earn yield, and then they can just say, we could make all this. For example, a new chain could say, we make all the transfer for free because we make so much money on the yield itself of the stable coin, which is a completely new, different model that was not just not there before.
Yeah, exactly.
You mentioned the HyperLiquid, $5,000 per hype. Are you still a big believer of that?
Yes, I think by 2028, it is possible. Again, we're going to have to see how they get through this moment where you have competitors offering zero to free trading. Is their tech that good? Are they able to roll out some new feature that's going to capture the client? But I think of a macro level, there's going to be millions or billions more people using stable coins with, I think trillions of dollars of assets willing to speculate on. And so who's going to be there to service that customer? And whoever's there, and I think Hype can make it through because they've done such a good job so far, they're going to be massively valued as a protocol.
I read someone the other day who wrote, everyone will be trading perps. Do you believe in that?
I don't know if everyone will be trading perps, but I think for your median trader, they'll trade a perp on FX, Bitcoin, crypto. They'll trade a perp on a stock. They'll trade a perp on a bond, whatever. It's a great product because of this hyper gamified, hyper leveraged ecosystem that we've created. And I think everyone's moving toward this. Unfortunately, most people are broke as fuck. And the only way out of their situation is to take massive leverage on whatever it is they want to trade. And so the perp is the perfect vehicle for that.
Do you really believe that's the right way to make it?
I don't believe in right or wrong. This is the way. And so if everyone wants to believe that's the wrong way, go in the streets and depose all these governments that are doing this to you, and then we'll see.
Tell me about ETHFI. You said, hey, we invested in these two protocols in the bear market, Ethena, that we talked about before, ETHFI. Why is ETHFI so great, except that the fact that obviously you're an early investor?
So obviously they started out as a restaking protocol. They crushed it on that. And then they pivoted to trying to become this crypto neobank. And as someone who's been in the crypto ecosystem for over a decade, the biggest promise was, hey, I can load some crypto into this wallet, and then I can have a link to the offline buying experience where I can just tap my card or swipe it or whatever, and I can just spend my money. And there's been multiple different issuers who have tried this. The fees have been egregious, very hard to get accounts, didn't work a lot of places. And then finally, ETHFI, they did a lot of hard work. And your ETHFI card, which can be in your Apple wallet or it can be a physical card, and you can tap and spend all over the world anywhere that Visa is accepted. And now I use it. It's a great product. Obviously, more and more people are using it, and this is what I'm super excited about for this particular protocol is taking this, great product they built, E3 staking. Okay, well, what else can we do now that we have all these assets on chain? Okay, well, let's let people borrow and spend against them, but in an offline way where they couldn't before. And so that's why I'm super bullish on their ability to be, I call it the Amex of crypto. They're not for everyone. It's not for, they're not saying, we're going to bank the unbanked, all that bullshit. We've got rich people with crypto. We're going to let them spend their money and we're going to take a fee from that.
There's this new kind of neobank narrative, which makes so much sense because crypto native people, you don't want to get back into freaking banks and all that stuff. It's too painful. So you just want to spend whatever you have, especially the stable coins, obviously. What do you see in the next maybe 1 or 2 years could be because for the moment you can spend your stable coins. It sounds stupid and it sounds simple, but it's so amazing. It's so amazing. It's so amazing. Then the next thing is I can earn yield, right? I can get some cash back. Cool. I can earn yield on my stable coin that I'm holding there. What are other things that I or normal people might not be thinking of that could be integrated in those kind of neobanks that could be a complete no-brainer for someone who compares a Revolut or Monzo with an ETHFI or a Cast or a
number
Plasma
one is I could stake my ETH with ETHFI, and then obviously I'm earning 3-ish% on that. I could take that staked ETH DeFi asset and I can borrow against it at a rate, whatever that is, right? Maybe it's just low single-digit percentage point. So now I'm earning yield on my ETH. I'm long ETH versus fiat, but I need to spend some fiat. I need to go to 7-Eleven, buy a coffee or whatever it is. And now I can, ETHFI will facilitate this loan against my staked ETHFI ETH, and I can spend this fiat and obviously have to pay it back over time. But, if I'm structurally bullish on ETH outperforming fiat, and then I get this native yield in ETH while I'm spending, that's something that you can't do at, a traditional Revolut or TransferWise or one of these other neobanks.
Is it because it's too hard for them to make, or is it because there's regulation that are trying to protect people? Because I know usually we're always complaining, saying, these regulations, they're not protecting the people. Actually, they're making the normal people never able to kind of make it, right? But in the specific example of borrowing against your asset, especially with crypto assets that are very volatile, I kind of see a problem with that. Like, for example, in 2021 too, we had this entire CFI thing, right? A lot of people obviously, a lot of people lost all their money because the company were mismanaged. But even a lot of people lost, because we have, before you said, we talk about perps and we talk about the gambling and hyper gambling society. So someone who has assets there and start to realize, I can think of my girlfriend, for example, right, or ex-girlfriend. They're like, amazing. I have this thing that goes up forever. But at the same time, I can borrow and get some cash to pay for my holiday.
Well, of course,
the Bitcoin will go down and then you will lose everything, right?
Well, the lender is going to margin call you before, because they have to protect themselves, right? They're going to require a certain minimum margin and whatnot. Of course, you as the client could lose your shirt on this, but that's no different than any other borrowing and lending thing. We're just concerned. I'm concerned about, okay, does ETHFI have good lending standards so that ETHFI itself is not putting itself at risk? What the clients do is what the clients do. And if they have a responsible relationship with money, whether it's crypto or it's fiat, that's not going to change.
You share quite a bit of your trading online. Most people probably see you as a trader, mostly a trader. What percentage of your portfolio or net worth do you actually trade? Because often people think, this is a trader, they just go all in, but with trading, but that's not the way. That's not the case.
Probably less than 5%.
What assets do you feel comfortable buying and holding for the next 5 to 10 years?
Nothing. Things change.
How often do you are you 24/7 thinking about this, or do you reassess every couple of months, or just okay, now every 6 months I need to just sit down and see, okay, what's changed? Or you're just always connected?
I love markets. I'm always reading and seeing what's changing around the world. There's no time frame. There's no, you need to do it every day, every month, whatever, right? So this is my job. I love doing it. I love the markets. So I'm always reading stuff about financial markets and thinking about things. For other people, it, might be, okay, I have a certain expense base. I know what my monthly costs are. I know how much I make. This is how much I want to save. So I'm going to invest in that particular way. And I don't want to be thinking about this every day, every month, every 6 months, whatever it is, right? So I think it's a very personal decision. It's just, this is what I love to do. And so I have no problem, reading Bloomberg or whatever, financial media or all the different podcasts and research that I read on markets and having a view and changing it all the time.
Do you work with scenarios and say, okay, if this scenario is hit, I'm going to sell this or buy this or make this change? Or it's more like a gut feeling thing?
I have no...
Like you wake up, you're like, shit, now this thing kind of happened. I feel like in my gut that I need to do this change, switch this, and I can be very fast doing that. So I do it. Yeah,
I'm more of a gut person. I don't have a prescriptive strategy because I can't predict what the market's going to do. I have no idea. I can have an idea and then test my idea versus reality, but I don't try to say things. I have to do something in a certain way. I want to be very flexible.
Are you happy?
Yes.
What makes you the most happy?
Shredding powder.
I mean, this is the best kind of meditation, to be honest. Like, if you think about it, you just go there, you forget everything.
Yeah, if you think too much on the markets, you're going to die in an avalanche. So yeah, be very present.
Have you ever been near like a very dangerous experience or something that happened on the slopes?
Maybe a few years ago, I was skiing in the backcountry, and near the end of a run, I think I was daydreaming a bit, and then this massive crack appeared, and I kind of had to like jump over it and like almost do like a long jump, so I didn't break my leg. That's probably the most danger I've been in the backcountry, but I always go with certified guides, and our number one is if we don't feel comfortable doing something, we don't do it. So I'm not a professional skier. I mean, it's fun, and I don't want to die doing it, but I'm not trying to take unnecessary risks.
Have you ever been like saying, I'm not comfortable doing this thing?
More the guide. It's like
he's saying, no, we don't do that.
I follow him.
And you're like, let's go. No. Mostly in Japan?
Mostly in Japan.
Is it the best place to do so? Or is the closest place to here to do so and that's why you do it there? It's
very consistent powder. It's very cold. So, for the January to February time period, I find I like the conditions. It's not super duper steep, which can be a problem sometimes. If you want the steeper stuff, you maybe go to the Rockies and Canada, US, that sort of space. But I think for a consistency of snowpack, Niseko, Japan, and Hokkaido is probably hard to beat. And I love Japan. I love the food. So I have king crab and go to the onsen after you ski.
Living the life. If you compare to your early days, how much happier do you feel now that you have a lot of money?
I think the money is just a means to an end. And the end is, I'm able to spend 3 months of the year skiing. I'm able to play tennis 2 hours a day. I'm able to, if I get injured, rehab myself properly. I'm not sitting in a chair for 10 hours a day if I don't want to, right? So I think the aggregate amount of money is kind of irrelevant. It's what can I do with that in terms of my time and what I'd rather be doing.
Is there a moment where you realize actually, because I think a lot of people, especially in this space, because you have this crazy amount of money made, lost, you realize for the basics, obviously money is very important.
Yeah.
As you just said, like I cannot do this thing, or if I'm injured, I don't have to go to the government hospital and wait for 5 hours and in the middle of all these old people, like obviously, right? Or I can just go to Japan and go to ski and no problem. But is there a moment where you just realize, actually this thing kind of compared to what I thought is less exciting? Like I'm not deriving true like meaning or happiness from that thing. Because especially young guys, right? We're always like, okay, I need to reach that number or get there. And then it's going to be awesome. I'm going to be so happy. I'm going to change everything. And then you get there, you're like, actually, that's not it, right? Or actually, that's not it at all. And then you get almost this wake up moment where you're like, fuck, the whole thing I chased for that long is actually not the thing.
I guess it depends on what you chased it for, right? If I chased it because I was going to buy a Lamborghini, okay, well, then you bought the Lamborghini. So what? You drive it around a bit.
Did you buy the Lamborghini?
I have a Ferrari.
How did you feel when you bought the Ferrari?
It was fun. I mean, I'm not a big car guy. It was just something interesting to drive around. I don't really give a fuck about cars. I don't know anything about it. People ask me, what's your engine? I don't even know. I just bought the car.
how long did you feel after you bought? Because usually for cars, people say it's like a couple of weeks, right? Or a couple of months, like you're super happy, but then you're like, it becomes normality. Everything becomes normality.
That's why I'm big on sports. Like the reason why I did is not to buy a car or whatever, to buy a nicer apartment. Yeah, it is nice to have a nicer apartment and more space and all those sorts of things. But I love skiing. And every day when I'm out in the mountain, with a guy and my friends, just shredding powder, like this is what I did all this for. Like I don't care about anything else. Like if I could be a ski bum for the rest of my life, that's all. And I had no money, cool, whatever.
Actually, the cool thing with sport is the progress. Like in everything, right? Running, whatever. Even gym. I started with a PT again after 3 years. I did macro counting, all that stuff a few years ago. Worked amazingly well. And then a few weeks ago, I was like, I've been training like 5 times a week for 3 years, but I'm doing bullshit here. Like it's nonsense, right? Also with all the plane and all that stuff. So I just started again, and then I realized if you do the proper way and you increase volume every training, and after 3 or 4 weeks, you're like, holy shit, I'm lifting much more, like more reps, more weight, or heavier than 3 weeks ago, and it feels so much easier. And then you have this thing where like, fuck, like this is actually, it's so simple, right? It's just progress, but it feels so good.
Yeah, lifting is great. Or any other sport like that where you progress. That's the whole point. The journey is fun because you're getting better at whatever it is you decide to do, even if you're not a professional.
What's the thing that you're holding on to, but you know you should let go of?
I don't know. No idea.
You're not thinking too much.
Yeah. Didn't really just go with the flow.
Tell me one thing that you learned in the last 20 years that can take me with me for the next half of my life.
Nothing you value will come unless you work hard at it, whatever that is.
Can you give me some examples?
So I don't know, going to the gym, right? If you lifted one weight and you got to, you look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, then it wouldn't be fun. People, I love, and I don't really lift heavy weights anymore, but like, it's a lot of fun. Why? Measuring yourself, seeing your progress, going up that 1 kilo, whatever, and maxing out. Like, I think that's, you're spending hours a day doing this thing. That's the fun part. If it was just like, okay, I stopped at the gym, I did 1 squat. Oh, I've got quads like Schwarzenegger or a back or whatever, I think then people wouldn't do it because it's not fun. I think the journey is fun. Now, not everything is that way. Everyone's different in terms of what journey is fun for them.
You post all these things online on Twitter, for example, to skiing thing. Then you go to Korea. Then all these things. People probably a lot of people say, "I want this guy's life," right? And what I see is a lot of this is X because it's crypto, but there is this Instagram generation, TikTok generation, where a lot of people actually feel kind of sad because they don't have what they want, but they also, because of all these things that they see, they kind of are not able to motivate themselves. They kind of feel stuck, right? They feel like they're stuck. What would you tell these people?
I mean,
who feel stuck? They want to get there, but they can't get to even start to doing something. They almost have this analysis by paralysis, or like, if I do this thing and I do it wrong, then I'm going to lose some time.
Yeah, I think obviously social media is a highly curated environment. Mm-hmm. No one sees the amount of work that goes into all those images, whether it's the very beautiful person, what's their wicked routine? Do they, maybe they don't party, maybe they don't drink. Maybe there's a lot of things that they don't do to look that way in that particular moment on Instagram. Or a sportsman. Oh wow, that guy's really jacked. Well, are you stretching every morning for an hour? Or did you eat clean for the last 20 years of your life to get that way? Right? This image didn't happen overnight, but at the end of the day, people enjoyed the progress. Right? What's the best way to run a mile? Run a foot first. Right? It's just a slow progress, and then you get to where you want to go.
Amazing. Thank you, Arthur, for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
That was fun. Awesome. As you probably know by now, I host some of the biggest names in Bitcoin and crypto on my podcast. But a lot of the best stuff never makes it on air. The Shift newsletter is where I share that raw behind-the-scene alpha, the insights, stories, and lessons straight from my guests that you won't hear anywhere else. If you want the real inside take on Bitcoin and crypto, join my newsletter, The Shift, in the description down below.